Welcome back to the Mayor's Magazine. I'm Mick Cornett, and in this segment, it's a little bit heart-wrenching for me because I am interviewing my Chief of Staff, David Holt, on Election Day, July 27th. David was elected to the State Senate, and he will be leaving his post as Chief of Staff for the office of the Mayor very soon. But I wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate you, David, and secondly, to talk to you about your years in serving in the Mayor's office, and certainly get your thoughts moving forward into elected office and state politics, and all of the thoughts you have here in the summer of 2010. I'm sure it's been a whirlwind of events for you.
That's right. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's my honor, and it's been my honor to serve you for the last 4 years.
Well, you grew up in Oklahoma City in the Putnam City School District, and so certainly you have thoughts about the Oklahoma City of 2010 as opposed to the Oklahoma City in 1990 that
Sure.
you were in 2000. What's your thoughts on how Oklahoma City has changed?
Well, sure. Like everybody, I've experienced this renaissance, and I graduated from high school in '97. I went to college in Washington, D.C. right after that. And by '97, things were already starting to turn the corner. '98's when the ballpark opened. And so, people were already starting to talk, but it hadn't really crystallized by that point. So a lot of the people I went to school with in the '90s and high school with, they're gone. And we'll probably never get most of them back. But we're starting to get some. And I think what really matters, though, is this generation that's graduating now into a city that they don't want to leave or they intend fully to come back to after college. But yeah, I started to see that transformation while I was in college in Washington. I'd come back and obviously visit and starting to spend more time in Bricktown, starting to see that there were things to do here. When I grew up, I guess the only thing you had to show visitors was the Cowboy Hall of Fame, which is a great facility. But now that list has got a dozen things on it that you want to show people when they come to town. And so when I was in Washington, I really wanted to get back and be a part of this. And since I came back and since I came to your office, it's just blossomed beyond anyone's wildest dreams. And it's been such a fun ride to be a part of it.
Well, when you started working at City Hall, it kind of completed your cycle of working at different levels of government. You had worked in Washington for the Speaker of the House and also in the White House. You had worked for Congressman J.C. Watts, and you had come back to the state level and served and under Mary Fallin, the Lieutenant Governor's office. So you had worked at the federal, the state, and now the local office. Talk to our viewers about the differences between the three from your perspective and
Sure.
how you see it after completing this cycle.
Yeah, well, I guess now I'm starting over again. Now I'm working. Actually, it's funny. I started at federal, went to state, went to city. Now I'm going back to state. Yeah. So I'll just keep rotating.
There you go. You'll be president next.
No, what I found so thrilling about being here the last 4 and 5 years is just you're so close to what really matters. And the city provides those core government services that people really rely on. If you went out there and you said to folks, what does the federal government do for you? What does the state government do for you? And what does the city do for you? And they may not even realize what does what, but I know that what they value is the water that comes through their tap, somebody picking up their trash, somebody policing their neighborhood, and those are all city services. And what I enjoyed was being here and not having to spend a lot of time defending what the city does. And that's, you see, at the federal level, that's the argument every day is, are we even doing what government is supposed to be doing? And at the state level, I think that argument occurs a lot. We don't have to have that argument here. Everybody believes in what the city does. And the only arguments are about how well we can do it and how efficiently we can do it. And so anyways, I'll always carry that. Whether this public service career lasts for another 4 years or much longer, this experience I've had at the city of seeing what a core government service really is and seeing how it can be executed well when you focus on just those things, that'll always stay with me.
And one other part of this, the city government kind of supplies the services that the federal government and the state government does not. Because really the cities exist under the enabling legislation and the policies set by the federal and the state. And so when you start that road back up, as you talked about, going back to the state level and looking at your experience at the federal level, what is your perspective of the way the states and cities interact, and what could the state be doing to help cities, and what could the city be doing to help the state, and vice versa?
I think state officials, and I hope to be one of them now, would pay more attention to how effective cities are and how they're really doing, like I kind of alluded to earlier, the stuff that people care about. I don't think there is enough interaction. I think having been here on this side of it for the last 4 or 5 years, I would appreciate it if state officials would take more interest in what cities are doing and encourage it more. And like you said, they really provide the kind of enabling legislation and funding to make what cities do possible. And I really wish they would respect the critical role that cities play. And so yeah, I think I'll be a voice for that philosophy at the state capitol.
When you look at the size of the budget at the state level and also the legislative process, it's a lot different from City Hall. Talk to the viewers about just the differences, because I think a lot of people think government's government and you know, somehow the mayor is structured a lot like the governor, but really there's a lot of differences between the way that policy is enacted at the city level as opposed to the state level.
Sure. Well, it's hard not to have the conversation without referencing the fact that at the city level we don't have partisan politics. And I like that. You know, I'm clearly a Republican. That's what I've been elected as. I've served President Bush. I've served Mary Fallon. I mean, that's obviously been my career, and that's where my philosophies lie. But we're all Americans. We're all Oklahomans, and I've really enjoyed being in a place like the city of Oklahoma City where people don't feel like they automatically have to split up along the lines of whatever letter is after their name. That they can work together, and there is common ground, and sometimes there's not. But there is a lot of times, and I like that there's a lot of 9-0 votes at Oklahoma City Council, and I don't think you would have that if you had a partisan system like Tulsa does, for instance. And so right there, you know, you get up to the Capitol. I mean, I've been thinking about, you know, I just got elected a few days ago, but I've been thinking about, you know, meeting my fellow senators and all that, you know, and I can see almost immediately there's kind of a division, you know. It's like it's expected. I'm going to meet all my Republican senators, but I can tell there's a tension, you know, already amongst, you know, that there's kind of like them and there's us, you know, and I really hope to break through that a little bit because I've enjoyed working with people here that may not have the same political philosophies as me, but we can still find things that we can get done together. So that's, I think, a critical difference. And then, yeah, you said, you alluded to the role of the mayor versus the role of the governor. You know, in Oklahoma City, we have a city manager, which and I think you agree with me, I would love to see that model at every level of government. I don't think anyone's ever tried to have a state manager, but I think it wouldn't be a bad idea. It's takes a lot of the sort of politics out of the process of running government, and
well, it allows the executive to be looking down the road.
Yeah, you get to be a visionary every day. You don't have to worry. I use this line a lot. You don't have to worry about the dead dog on 10th Street. That's what Jim Couch has to worry about. You get to worry about 2020 and 2025, you know. And yeah, and a governor actually, the way our system is set up, the governor actually doesn't have as many operational responsibilities as maybe he should. It's actually kind of diffused. It's not really controlled by anyone. It's a lot of agencies and a lot of boards. And I'm not a real big fan of that system either. But I like having someone in charge, and I like here that we have a city manager. But yeah, I think the Oklahoma City model of government should certainly be mimicked by other cities, but I would love to see it mimicked, yeah, at the state level too.
The last 4 or 5 years, you've been kind of an eyewitness to a number of things that have happened at the city level, including maps and the improvements at the arena, the NBA and the relocation of the Sonics. What perspectives do you think you'll take with you?
You know, how to get things done, you know, I mean, and being results oriented. You're really results oriented. You know, I see a lot at the state capitol, a lot of people that like to send out press releases and call press conferences and kind of make a point. And they haven't lined up how to actually get it done. And what I learned here from you and Jim Couch was you call the press conference after you've completed the job, you know. You don't, and that's really important. Getting things done and making that the priority, not just making a point. And also just having vision and being bold. You know, I think we've kind of lacked vision and boldness at the state level for some time. There's really been no one kind of laying out what our end goals are and then how you get there. And you and your predecessors have done that now for a quarter of a century, and that's why Oklahoma City is doing so well. I want to take just a little bit of this momentum and bring it to 23rd and Lincoln.
If you just joined us during this segment, David Holt is our guest in this segment. He is the mayor's chief of staff. However, he's been elected to the state senate and will be leaving this office. And David, it's been a pleasure working with you the last 4 or 5 years, and we look forward to working with you down at the state capitol. Good luck.
The pleasure's been all mine. Thank you, Mayor.
David Holt, future state senator of the state of Oklahoma. We'll have more on the Mayor's Magazine right after this.